We watched the movie this past weekend.
We did.
And I had a lot of questions. We watched Music and Reality.
It's great.
And first of all, good job, man. Yes.
Congratulations.
We all saw it.
Music and reality.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I didn't know that was about, so that story was about you and your wife then.
Yeah, it's loosely based on our story.
That's amazing.
Probably like 70%.
So you gave the guitar back and then she came back with the omanon?
Something like that.
And not to give the movie away, but that's basically like, do you find yourself in Korea?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, that's why, as a filmmaker, like they say to write what you know.
Yeah.
Right? So that's all I could do. Like, I just basically wrote my story.
And it was totally you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so like, yeah, I mean, I like to second that, like watching it and like getting to know you, like I could feel your presence and your fingerprint all over the film.
Definitely.
Obviously, because it was your film. But did you always have, like, was it kind of a story in the making? All of a sudden, you're like, dude, I should just write something and then make this film? Or were you always kind of searching, like there was something that was just missing that you felt you would find here?
Wait.
So we're going deep.
Based on the...
My bad. Is that a bad question?
I mean, that in the movie, it was something I couldn't put my finger on, but it was big enough a reason for me to move here and try to figure out.
So there was a calling, you just didn't know what it was, but you're like, maybe I'll realize it when I get to Korea?
Yeah, I mean, it was more like when I was visiting and I was actually here.
Okay.
Like I felt like something that was missing in my life is starting to heal.
So that picture in Hongdae is real, and that whole Hongdae thing too?
The picture thing, that was more fictional.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like coming here not knowing that I needed to find something.
Yeah.
I didn't come here to find something. I just came and I realized I've been looking for something all my life and I might find it here.
Oh.
That was the whole thing.
That sounds so poetic.
And your wife is actually the person you met for the first time, or?
My wife, is the lead
Actress portrays the lead character.
Exactly, yeah.
Portrays.
Amazing. And the rock band guy, the rock star, is that really one of your best friends that growing up?
No. Actually, that has a long story too. But,
he was great. I liked him.
Who, Fuckface?
Yeah.
Fuckface. Yeah, Fuckface. Yes.
Do you know what that comes from? Fuckface? Do you
Yeah,
remember,
that movie.
No. You remember the old Topps baseball cards?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And there was Billy Ripken.
Uh-huh.
There was this error card where there on his bat it said "fuckface" on it on the baseball card.
Like on the bottom of the bats, the little messages
it was
and stuff.
like when I was maybe in like 4th grade. That was like the card to have. It was the most expensive card because they actually printed it and it said "fuckface" on the bottom of the.
Was that Cal Ripken's brother?
Awesome.
Yeah, Billy Ripken.
Fuckface.
I haven't heard that name in so long. I used to collect baseball cards when I was a little
Is
kid.
that Cal Ripken's dad?
Brother.
Brother.
Oh, brother.
And then it made it into the movies because you heard that. Hey, Fuckface. Hey, Fuckface.
So his
Pesci, maybe.
yeah. So I named him after Billy Ripken. So the name of the character is Billy in the movie.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I keep calling him Fuckface, and then, but really, one of the earlier drafts, one of the drafts that I wanted to push through was Billy actually is Bobby's alter ego, So, was there anything in that?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh, good thing not in the sneaks.
We're gonna get rid of that rug anyway.
Oh, yeah?
Wait, how come there's no sound now?
Hey, Danny.
Okay, I don't hear anything.
Danny,
The other Danny would have never done that.
I don't hear anything. What happened?
Danny,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hit that bottom button on the bottom. We need the bottom there. There we go. That's the one we need.
This one's gonna need. All right. Oh, but one thing I wanted to
I've
say.
contributed to this podcast.
One thing I wanted to say though was for me, growing up, because what actually, when I was a little kid, ever since then and even now, when I watch a movie, if it's a movie that really inspired me, like during the end credits, I always get like just this feeling in my chest, right? Sometimes I tear up, honestly. And when the movie ended, I was so inspired though watching it, and I'm not just saying this like I don't. You know, like I'm one person who really subscribed to if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. You know me. I'll just stay quiet, right? But
So that's why you're silent.
no. But
Motherfucker.
it really inspired me. So thank you. Like
Thank you.
because that's what I want to strive for, to inspire others, right? And you inspired me. So
Oh, thanks, man.
thanks for that.
And
man.
John's raising money for his next movie, so
Seriously, like I want that to happen. Like, so many of my friends are filmmakers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or they're actors. They're in film, and and most of them have a script that they've been working on,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them most of all to go for it. If some bonehead like me that's not even an actor, writer, director, I'm not any of those things, but if I can do it, then absolutely they can do it. You know, that's like I hope that people can take that away from it. If anything at all. You know?
but you were willing to work hard. Obviously,
Yeah.
the project was a labor of love. You had to raise the capital first of all. I don't know how much
Yeah.
the whole movie production cost, but
I mean, I'll be completely honest about it. A lot of people keep that a secret. And I get why, but it wasn't cheap.
yeah,
It was like
it didn't look like it was.
including marketing and all that. It's definitely way over $250,000.
Oh wow.
Close to $500,000, I would say.
Because you
But-
guys like
yeah.
started shooting like it looks like quite a while ago, right? You guys started shooting.
It's been in the making for about 5 years.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, that's because I don't know what I
Yeah.
was when it came to distribution, I didn't really know what that
Yeah.
word meant. So I was just learning as you go.
It was just cool seeing I Hate Big Phony LLC.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that. I like that.
The
touch.
resilience to make the movie and
Yeah.
get it done. Kudos for big ups, really. Yeah.
Thanks.
So everybody check it out, right?
Maybe we should release this episode. It's currently in.
But
I
everybody,
mean,
but everybody check it out because and even if it's not in the theaters, like there's gonna be other markets or other places where they can.
I hope so.
Yeah. I
hope so.
guarantee you, this is the age of content, right?
Yeah.
There's gonna be other
And if
ways
it
to
doesn't-
monetize.
If it doesn't, I've already cut it into a 9-part series
Oh, dude,
to put it on online. If it doesn't get distribution, that'll be the
dude, that's awesome.
form of.
Yeah, I love the animation that you added.
Yeah.
Did you do that yourself?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
We had to get someone to do it. We ran out of money, so that's the most
Right.
we could. Actually, in my mind, there was much more animation going on.
But in a way,
Just couldn't afford it.
I don't know what you had in your mind,
Yeah.
but that simpleness really worked, and it had this kind of. I felt like that's how like the younger generation thinks or something, right? It just felt like very
Nice.
relevant and pertinent the way like the word shit bubbles and stuff.
But I wanted to say earlier, I was saying like the character Billy, who plays my best friend, is the lead singer to this indie rock band. In one of the earlier drafts of the movie, that actually was Bobby's alter ego.
Okay.
And so at the end, their big reveal was, Billy was Bobby all along. And when he gets to Korea, he doesn't need to wear the mask, you know. So it was this whole thing. Like Big Phony has, my logo is a bag over the head. So it was this whole time it was gonna be like this bag that he's wearing is not. It's just like he wishes he were, white, essentially. Not Korean or not Asian.
but I think most Kyopos like honestly like most Kyopos like growing up in the States. I don't know how it is growing up in other places, but growing up in the States, like it's not like we grew up like, or me personally, we grew up in a place where there were Korean people all over the place. We'd see them at like church on Sunday or at restaurants. It's like you see white people everywhere, and I mean you kind of just like end up like being that way. You're like, man, like when people start saying stuff to you or like throwing rocks at you and shit, because like they're like, oh, look at this little chinky motherfucker or whatever, and then like you realize that you're not like them. You kind of want to be that. You just want to be normal.
Yeah.
You know.
I gotta say, yeah, growing up, I used to wish I was white when I was a little kid
Yeah, I
because
mean,
I was all around like around like a bunch of non people that didn't look like
I
me.
just want to fit in.
Yeah.
I just
My
want to
best
be.
friend growing up, his name is Peter, and he grew up in the Bronx, and he was like surrounded all black people. So his dream was
to be
always
black.
to be black. He would always say to me how he wished he was black, and I was surrounded mostly by white people in Manhattan, So it's like it was just a weird way to grow up,
Nah, bro. Like when we were younger, like we grew up in basically white neighborhoods. So I was like, okay, it's normal to be white, you know. And being half, obviously, my dad's white, so you know we were around white people a lot. And then my Korean family came, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm Korean. But then I was like kind of like halfway in between. But I was like, you know, we're mostly hanging out with white people. And they started playing basketball, and there's like more black guys. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to be black. So like I went from like wanting to be white to wanting to be black, and then realized I'm like, okay, I need to be me, but I spent 20 years trying to be someone else. So like, I mean, I think like a lot of like kids growing up in the States, like that grew up in a place like, you know, similar to how we grew up, like they probably endure something similar where they have a somewhat of an identity crisis and there is something missing. And I know that the first time, like when I was older and I came to Korea, like I had like similar feelings. I was like, man, I didn't really know that something was missing, but something here feels okay. You know, like
Yeah. When I grew up, in a town was 8,000 population, all white, and I looked 110% Asian. And I show you those pictures. I looked Asian.
I feel like a lot of half kids, they look more Asian when they're younger, and as they grow up, they don't look as Asian. I don't know. It's a lot of the Asian kids. I mean, half Asian kids that I know.
Pretty much, and then you change as you go. But then I would go to Hawaii, and then I wouldn't fit in there because I was too mainland. I was too you know, my too howly. My diction wasn't like, oh, bro, what, you know. So I got that.
Yeah.
Or I got, that Japanese guy. They called me Japanese. And then, so then I gravitated to the basketball team. And so that all my friends were black. So I went through an identity crisis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Braiding my hair up and
you did.
I'm wearing the cornichis down to my butt, you know, the yellow cornichis with the white thing with the gold chain. And
I don't even
Like
know
a
what the hell
pierced-
cornichis are.
dude, oak tree? You don't know oak tree? Come on, man.
Oak tree, the store.
Yeah, the store.
Yeah. But what's a cornichi?
Cornichi with the pants.
The big ass pants?
bro, like
Not the Cavaricis?
Not the Z Cavarici?
No, well, those were competitors.
Those different.
Okay, sorry, I don't know. I don't know what cornichis are. Shit.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, like it was like the style too. I remember even that I went all in. I had like the pali, the fubu. I had all that.
Oh, you went all in,
I
huh?
went all in,
the
man.
Fubus.
I went all in.
Yeah, it's funny though, because so we grew up, and then you guys grew up in California
Yeah,
Right.
in a multiracial deal. Now how did that feel? Because we grew up in majority white
No,
communities.
but remember, John and I, we grew up outside. We were born outside of the country. I was born in South America. He was born in Philippines.
Oh, that's
Well, I was
right.
born in Korea, but went to the Philippines when I was really young.
So our youth was spent in different continents outside of America.
So I came to America when I was 12.
When you're 12.
Yeah.
That's right.
I went
That's
to America
right.
when I
Yeah,
was
and I
12.
came when I
You
was
immigrated.
8 into Fairfax, Virginia. Virginia, baby.
So were
We
you
almost
speaking
got
Espanol?
How old?
Ah.
8.
8.
And then at 10 and 12, I was in Queens, New York.
Oh.
And so I tried to go from white to Puerto Rican to black.
I love it. I love
Finally
it.
find myself in LA with a bunch of Koreans.
So you went through the whole circle.
It was, dude. I'm still trying to find myself, man. That's why I'm here in Korea. Thank you, Bobby, for the movie. I might have to make
Yeah.
my own album now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
For me, at least in Torrance, there were a lot of Asians. So I hung out with a lot of Asians, like growing up, like middle school and high school. And then when I went to college, I started hanging around more with Koreans, like Korean Americans. But it was generally Asians and basketball team people, but generally Asians.
See, when I went to college, I hung out with like the Islanders, like the kids from Guam and Hawaii,
Oh yeah.
because they were like, "Oh, you look like us." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm like you guys." They're like, "Oh, you're not from the islands. I can tell by the way you talk, you're not from around here." And I was like, "But I like barbecue, guys. What's up?"
Yeah, so get in where you fit in, you know, and that's funny how we still probably carry that to right now to it. It's a little extra baggage we carry with us once in a while. And it's like, when do you let that go? Like, when did you find, that's a good question. When did you find the time to let that baggage go? Like, you found it in Korea. Do you guys have any times that there was a moment where you let it go? Where you're like, I'm going to
feel
drop
like-
this baggage off.
For me, all that's related to my own insecurities, right? As I got older, I started not caring about what others think. And that's when I started to just kind of be comfortable just being who I am, even though I'm not who I pictured, who I had dreamed of myself to be when I was younger. But it's like, oh, fuck it, whatever. I am me. I'm not going to be able to change that. So when I got comfortable with that, that's when I started like just letting go of a lot of the stuff, like trying to be something that I'm not, and just kind of just being comfortable.
What
Like
age was
maybe I don't know, yesterday. I don't know, man.
Yeah?
But I mean, it took me a while. It took me a really long time.
Yeah, for me, it was a struggle. When I was overseas playing basketball before I came to Korea, I was always trying to figure out who I was, because I felt like the way I played would maybe help me. Like I wouldn't have to really like explain too much if I was just good at basketball. And then finally when I came here, then I had to like kind of explain myself and then kind of own up to whatever image I was portraying. Because like other places I played, like I would only play there for a year, and they're like, "Oh, that guy was good, finished," And then being here, now they're like, "Okay, like you can play, so tell us more about yourself." And I was like, "Oh, now I have to have personality." I gotta.
Oh, you're in trouble.
I was like, "Shit."
You're accountable for your actions.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously coming here meant more because my mom's from here, and then they're asking us to play for national team now, so it was like, are you Korean? Are you really like, how much of this is actually you, or are you fake? Because like out here, they like to sniff out a phony. Like they like to sniff out a fake person real quick and figure out whether you're just full of shit, and then send your ass back home, tail between your legs, So it was like when I came out here, like I kind of really had to figure out and own, basically grow up and be a man. It was tough. Like I think like the rest of it was just a search where like, kind of in your film, like I think you touched on that, where you're looking for something, but you don't really know what it is. You can't really quantify it, but just something isn't right. And it's not like something like where you're everyday depressed or you're everyday like, God, I got this hole in my heart. It's just something where like there's just one piece of the puzzle that's not there,
Do you feel like you're closer to finding it, or have you found it?
Yeah, I mean, I think coming here, like just a lot of stuff just made sense. And it wasn't like just some all like epiphany that came one day. It was just a process of being here and just seeing like, okay, like the world is a small place and like we're a part of all that. But there are things that made my mom, and my dad that like, spending time in America, I understand my dad. And then, spending time here, I understand my mom. And those two parts formed me.
But there must have been a time when you renounced your United States citizenship and you got that passport for the first time. And now it's like there's no going back. You had to find yourself for whatever, or make whatever life you're going to do.
No,
right?
for sure. Like when it came here, like my brother did it first, and it was a pretty big decision for us because, my dad and like our family history was in the military, and they're like, well, you're how when people gave your life for this passport and all this kind of stuff.
You're
And like,
that way.
it was tough,
Yeah.
And my dad was like, doesn't this mean anything to you? And I was like, well, yeah, it does, but I think like this is like our path. Like just like my dad's family came from Italy to look for a better life, we're kind of doing something similar, like coming to Korea,
Right on.
And so we came here and then we're like, look, now we've done it, the only thing that we can do is be successful.
Yeah, that's a huge move. Huge. I don't know if I could do that.
I can't imagine doing that but though, like as time goes on, I start thinking of even your citizenship, right, as just stuff on a computer, just a bunch of ones and zeros, right, and everything else. Because I'm an American citizen, but if Korea's playing America, to be completely honest, soccer, right, and which happened in 2002 in the World Cups, we're in the same bracket, right. Honestly, I was rooting for Korea.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't born in America.
Yeah, but
So you have a card.
But ever since I was a little kid, though, I've always, I don't know, it's just. I can explain that later, but like I've always kind of like gravitated towards America, and as an American citizen, I always. But if America's playing in another country, of course I'm rooting for America. But
What's interesting is there is like a Korean American diaspora though that's coming into Korea.
A what?
Because, like the Korean Americans
Diaspora.
immigrating, or was it emigrating?
They're coming here.
Going
to
back,
Korea.
Ones that left are
Yeah.
coming back.
And it is a true immigration, like because they're not bringing with them American, like they're not bringing with them any Korean belongings with them. They're bringing American ideals and American education over to Korea, and a lot of them don't speak the language, and they got to start over here, and they are truly immigrants here, and they might have some familiarity with culture or whatnot, but like over Christmas and over Christmas Eve, I hung out with like two different groups. All of them were for America. And it was just interesting that there's so many of them here, and a lot of them don't speak fluent Korean, and they're still trying to find their way here. They're literally immigrants in Korea, even though their bloodline is Korean.
So I think it's
Bobby's a prime example too.
No,
right?
I mean, I see what Bobby did, and like, to me, it's like, because we came here and we already had like, we go into a team takes care of us. So whether we learned Korean or not didn't really matter. The team was gonna take care of us as long as we could play, put the ball in the basket, right? But like, you came out here like on, like on a whim, and we're like, let me make something. It's like your path was like there wasn't a support system here. You didn't have a team that was like, hey, we'll support you to go out and do what you need to do. Like, you didn't have a head start. You just kind of came out here and like kind of like figure it out. It's like, it's way more like frightening, like in my eyes, to see that, because you could have went to any country in the world and done the same thing. It would have been difficult.
We have a friend, Linus.
Yeah.
Is Linus Barbecue? Like, I'm reminded of him because he came here like in a similar way. He didn't know what he was actually doing here when he first got here, and he figured it out. But he basically brought the culture he grew up with in Alabama, and brought Alabama barbecue to Itaewon.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's-
Best barbecue in Korea.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So it's like bringing back a part of his culture, American culture.
Right.
Wow.
Korea, he's Korean American, but
But he's so Southern. His
Yeah.
draw, his Southern draw, everything,
right,
his swag is Southern for sure.
right.
Yeah, I remember I was shocked when I first came here, and I heard like Kyopos with Texas accents and like French accents and like English accents. I was like, wait, what? Koreans are all over the world. I was
Yeah.
shocked. I didn't know that. I thought that all the Kyopos lived in like Seattle or LA.
Well, it's a blessing for me. It's a blessing to come back here and work. And I got a lot more love here. I mean, and if you really break it down, like honestly, your chances of succeeding, even though language, it's more here. There's more jobs. Like for me in my business, I qualify for if there's a role going out there that they're casting for, I'm not going to get cast out because of my race. Usually, I'm just going to need Asian or Asian mixed, or back in Hollywood, they're only going to have so many roles for minorities.
Yeah.
And so now everyone has an opportunity to go for that lead role, whether it's in music or, film or basketball or I don't know, whatever, You had an opportunity to change your citizenship and play on the team and get a solid Korean spot.
Yeah, if I would have stayed in Europe, like I was on the track to start, because I didn't play like in high level Europe. Like the best I ever did was like First League France, and my team wasn't like EuroLeague level. We were fighting to stay in the league, But like, I was hopefully on that track to start.
That's in between your NBA tryouts with the Sacramento Kings and the LA Lakers, right?
Right. So that was like after I went to Europe to try to like, hack it out again. And I was like, man, like it's tough. There's a lot of guys out here that are coming that are really, really good. And at that point in time, like I was a decent player. I was really athletic, but I probably wasn't EuroLeague level, And coming here, doing the calculations, it was like, well, if I can get the passport, I can probably play for longer. Because when we went to Europe, I tried to get an Italian passport because you can play as a local, But like our family, when they immigrated, they went through Ellis Island, and half the immigrants there signed away their citizenship, and then half just became American citizenship with dual citizenship. And my family signed their Italian citizenship away, so we couldn't get Italian passports.
Okay.
So that matters.
Man, absolutely.
Oh,
Because
gosh.
through certain things, you can go back like a generation or two. So like with Italians, like because they have a long history of immigrating and being in the States, you can go back to your grandparents.
That makes sense. I have my niece who's on track to perhaps make national team or whatever, right? But she has an option just in case if she's able to get to that level to even play for Korea, although she was born in America, blah blah blah. But yeah,
it's interesting. So I mean, like you grow older and you see what the opportunities are and like what the options are, and I mean, Korea has been very like good to us, like all of us. It's been very accommodating, and like honestly, like it's been the greatest experience of my life coming here.
I second that. At Korea, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, everybody knows how that was. I mean, they
it's
were
definitely different.
When my dad was in the military, he would tell me stories how they would put feces out on this. I mean, people would put their shit on the curb, and then they have a shit truck to come in there and pick it up. That's just how it was. You didn't really have indoor plumbing.
I like that picture of your parents, Itaewon. Like,
Itaewon. Yeah.
That was early 70s, right?
No,
That's
it was,
50 years ago almost, man. That's
50
crazy.
years ago. Now look at now. Now look here and all the opportunities in music, film, business. I mean, electronics. Like what?
And that's what we were talking
So
about.
amazing. Korea's come up.
When I walked in, that's what you guys were talking about. How your mom in your movie, your mom's character, didn't thought Korea was at least in the movie. I don't know how your mom really is, but thought Korea was like, why would I want to go back to Korea? But you said she left in '68, and at that time, Korea was really bad.
Yeah, exactly. So and when she literally told me, "Why are you going back to Korea?" I gave up so much everything to come to America.
For you.
Yeah. And she had to basically sign some papers in order for me to get my visa here.
Ah.
She just didn't understand.
Mm.
And so, they sacrificed so much to move to America.
Only for the damn kids to just come back.
Yeah, she never-
Holy shoot. What the heck?
My parents specifically were very like they didn't speak to me in Korean.
Mm.
They wanted me to be fully immersed in American culture and only speak English and have a chance.
So how good was your Korean when you came here?
Oh, it was terrible. So I couldn't. When I met my wife, we literally had to use Google Translate basically to
Oh my God.
Yeah.
communicate. So I didn't. Yeah, we used emojis basically. Thankfully, we had those.
There's a lot of good emojis you can use though, so it's good. Eggplant.
Before Tinder,
Fingers.
there was Google Translate.
Like for real. Now my dad was kind of the same way. Like he has similar stories. Like look at the pictures of what Korea looked like in the '70s. When my dad was in the military, like it's shocking. Like he's got pictures of like being in Gangnam, or like in like Myeongdong or in Gwanghwamun and all these places, and it's like, what the fuck? How'd you beat your Jeep in there? He's like, well, there weren't any gates.
Yeah, you just park it anywhere.
It was like, or people, it was just crazy. Like just seeing Seoul downtown, what it looked like back then, and then now. And then when we were coming back, my mom was kind of like the same way. She was like, what are you going to do there? My uncles came up there, why'd you come? Like, it was like similar questions. They were just like, we're looking for a better life. And you guys are going to where we came from? Like, you guys already got what we want.
My mom's younger sister, came back to Korea for the first time, in the last 10 years after immigrating. And she got to Incheon and was like, are we in Seoul? This is amazing.
She thought that was
She thought Incheon was Seoul because it was just so
progressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hosted some producers 10 years ago, from big Hollywood producers from LA. They would look around. They were looking around. We're on one of the Gangbyeong-mukno, right? And then you see the whole skyline, right? And they're like, wow, Seoul is a big city. Like, yeah, no shit,
It's huge.
But it's
and
a big city.
It's a huge city. And now you have K-pop is straight up on the charts. You got young kids wanting to come over here, learn Korean. I mean, that's really, really spread so far around the world.
It's internet. It's,
But
the
let me
internet.
ask you guys though, because obviously both of you guys are half Korean, but if there was no Korean blood in you, would you have gotten the same opportunities that you have today? Like, do you honestly think?
Oh, I see with that. Yeah, probably not. Well, not the same opportunities.
No way.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
a different person. I'd be
Because that's what I think. I think you guys obviously have tremendous talent in what you guys are doing, but there is a bit of that familial kind of connection that you have. Because I do think Korea still has a long way to go in terms of really accepting, other ethnicities.
Right.
If
Absolutely.
you look at the country itself, it's still very homogenous. We don't fall far behind like Japan in terms of, our culture. But I do think that you guys have that benefit of having the Korean bloodline, right? Because
for sure, yeah.
most of the Kyopos being like
Korean
Korean
Americans.
Americans that come here, I don't think they have found the same amount of success or readily available opportunities. I will say there is one differentiator in that they bring an American mentality with them, whereas they're not waiting for a system to sort of take care of them. They're here making on their own, like Bobby making his own movie and making the opportunities happen. And that's sort of the rebellious culture of American kind of innovation and in that kind of entrepreneurship. and that's different from the culture here, where it's always been like work in a system. You go through college, you go to Samsung, you work up the ranks, and you kind of follow that Confucian path of like seniors. But the Americans that came said, I want to try to trailblaze. I want to create my own path, and they don't have that luxury that I think you guys have had for for whatever reason.
I think like guys like me and Dave, I think that they're a lot easier on us because we're not 100% Korean, we're not 100% American. We're kind of in the middle, so we can kind of be on both sides when it fits. And then if we don't know something or if we make a mistake, they're like, okay, that we get a pass, right? Like at some level.
Right.
Whereas I think for Kyopos, like that, I think that you guys don't get a pass.
Standards
So
higher.
it's like,
yeah.
if you're amazing and you make it like Jay Park or you make it like you're basically like, oh, Yokshi, like this guy came from America. Look at what he's done.
Yeah.
But no one's rooting for you guys to be successful.
Right.
So I think it's like most of them, like, a lot of times it's hard because you're gonna come over here and they're like, you bring your American talent to, oh, you think that you're American, you came over here and did this, and it's like, I don't know if there's a lot of support. They're hoping that you'll be that top level, but on some level, it's like,
I think familiarity. I can't even say that word. Familiarity is a big deal here. In your movie, great scene in the taxi. He thought you were Korean American, and he's like, "왜 한국말 못해?" Right? And you said, "No, I'm Chinese." 잘해. You're good. Yeah. So it's like, but with that, I got they want to be. The minute they find out you're Korean, they want to be close to you. They want to root for you.
For sure.
But they're good. So if they didn't give a shit about you, he wouldn't say why you don't speak Korean good. He would just been like, all right, whatever, dude. But they want to. They exert themselves. Now, with us here, E and I believe we're foreign. Okay, we'll always be a little foreign here, but we're familiar enough. We had the Korean blood. For as me and TV, they want a foreign guy, but not necessarily do they want to get a Caucasian foreign guy that's going to completely be different than the rest of the cast. Right. So I'm familiar enough and I'm foreign enough to be accepted.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's for me personally, and maybe that was for you.
You're good looking enough.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's exactly that. It's like they see us and they're like, okay, we know you're foreign, but you're not that foreign. And there's still like that, like, it's like that Korean jung, right?
Yeah,
that jung, that like
jung is huge.
Like it's like that where they can relate.
It's like as much as Koreans rooting for BJ Penn, during his ride. He's part Korean.
Yeah, he's like quarter Korean.
Yeah, if we were Chinese blood, we wouldn't probably be here.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Right. Oh, it'd be a lot harder.
A lot harder.
I mean, if Eric's skill was still like way beyond
maybe you'll
the
be
national
playing in
team.
the CBL or whatever. What was it? Is the CBL?
The CBA.
CBA. Yeah, maybe.
Dude, you've been in China killing it.
but you know what? Actually, Jeremy Lin's an interesting
He's doing well.
story. Because in the CBA, kind of like you mentioned, there is some sort of, I wouldn't say haterade, but there is some sense like, oh, you're from America. Let us show you how good we are. And you look at the like there's some compilation videos of Jeremy Lin just getting like hacked away, right? And these CBA players, they're just,
And he's Taiwanese.
He's
too.
Taiwanese.
yeah, or
He's
maybe
Taiwanese.
that too, right? But literally, I mean,
If you go to Taiwan,
America,
you go to Taiwan, man, Jeremy Lin is fucking humongous in Taiwan.
yeah, but then you gotta think like as like a basketball player in your country representing like, hey, this is our style of ball. This is us. You're on our territory, and I want to show you up because you've got, if I show you up, I'm getting on the news, right? So I think there's
It's well deserved, though. I mean, that guy, look what he did in the NBA.
Yeah.
Look what that guy did.
Yeah.
He'll never take away those 5 games at the end of the season when he just crushed everything.
People love to hate on him, but man, dude,
Duke at ball.
yeah, man.
Well, you
he
can
did-
thank Carmelo Anthony for ruining his career trajectory.
Honestly, yeah, I actually went to that game against Utah. I was in New York at that time. And then, he was all over the tabloids, and Anthony was not happy.
Yeah.
He was not a happy camper.
That was regardless of whether that was true or not. Yeah, there was some quote jealousy or whatever because it's his team, and slowly
He was bigger than the team.
Yeah.
He was New York. I mean, when you were in the stands, everybody, didn't matter what color you were, you're rooting for Jeremy Lin.
I had friends because that was around 2012, I think. So I was in Korea, I had friends here talking about Jeremy Lin that don't really know about basketball. I'm like,
he was crazy.
Everyone's proud of him.
Every
whole world.
Asian actually took like ownership of him in the NBA, right?
Rightfully so. That guy did it up.
Yeah.
When he was at Harvard,
Yeah.
shoot, he was killing it there, just coast to coast.
Yeah.
We have a friend who started documenting him from
Yeah.
Evan.
Yeah.
Evan started following him from Harvard and made a documentary about him. And
Yeah, it was great.
from Harvard though. It was-
How did this all of it suddenly turn into like a self-help?
good.
But it was great, huh?
It's getting that out. But watch Music and Reality in theaters and on wherever you can find it. Hey, isn't that you?
Oh, my bad. I'm fired already.
Danny, we need you to be sharp
All right.
on the soundboard.